Fire 'em up. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We are streaming on Rumble. We are streaming on X. We are streaming on YouTube. And we are streaming at WYAB.com. So can't pick up the 50,000 watt blowtorch that is WYAB. Go ahead and follow us on the stream. We appreciate that. Like and subscribe to the channels and the streams. And follow me on X. Today is going to be an important day to follow me on X because I'm going to be able to give some of you all who can't necessarily get out and be civically active in your community to get civically active online today. It's a big day here in Mississippi. You're going to have to follow me on X to do that. It's just at Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. Lots going around in the world. If you want to be part of the show today, the number is 601-879-0002. The text line is open. Already getting texts from earlier today. The number is 601-879-5060. Today is the 3rd of February, 2026. It is a Tuesday. And the mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. It is standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? Y'all are the saints. And today is going to be one of those days where we want instruction. We want correction. We want guidance. We want wisdom. Not necessarily all the Proverbs, but it's all the Proverbs. It's all the things. Go read it. It's good for you. A gentle answer turns away wrath. A harsh word incites anger. That's one of my favorites. Actually, you know what today is? Today's 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 6 kind of day. I planted it. Apollos watered it. But it's God that gave the increase. And what are we talking about, ladies and gentlemen? Today is drop dead day for bills in the Mississippi State House and the Mississippi State Senate. If you want these bills to go to the full House or the full Senate, they have to be voted out of committee. And you're like, Andy, I don't have time to go do that. I don't have time to make that all happen. Well, I'm going to give you the opportunity to figure all this out. And ladies and gentlemen, here's the thing. I'm relatively new to Mississippi as well. I am. So I can sit there and talk to you and Clay about all the craziness that happens in Illinois, and I'm very well versed in it. But I'm learning how to interact with my state reps and my state senators too. And granted, I might have a little bit different view nationally of how things work, but learning how things work here in Mississippi, it's absolutely crucial. And there's an app that you can download. And if you go to andrewgosser.com, I've got a picture of it. But if you go to your app store or the whatever store it is in Samsung, I don't know what it's called, but it's called ECM Legislator, and it's a picture of a red Mississippi with the sun shining on Jackson, and you can download that app, and it is absolutely critical because when all of a sudden we want to find out where a bill is, what it's doing, you can go right into that app and you can find it. And this is just another reason why it's important to not necessarily make friends with your state legislator, although being friendly is always easier than being hateful and spiteful. Although some of them earn it, let's be truthful. But the more you know them, the better off you are. And the Glacier Act made it out of the first committee, and I want to read. I got this from Clay, but this is a text from Senator McClendon. It's a big, long text. My goodness gracious. The Glacier Bill, Senate Bill 2329, known as the Mississippi Glacier Act, successfully passed out of the Senate Judiciary B Committee and is now on its way to Senate Appropriations. So you can sit there and say, okay, Senate Appropriations. You can do the search for the Glacier Act. So let's just go ahead and use that app. And you sit there and you open up the app and it's got a bill system status. You go ahead and you just search the Glacier Act and it pops right up. And you can sit there and read it. I'm not going to read it all to you. We all know that we want to have our local law enforcement agencies get reimbursed for their efforts that they do with ICE. I've got a story in the stack today about Tennessee where they actually measured all their migrant crime. And when you hear all the migrant crime that happened just in the state of Tennessee, our neighbors to the north, it's going to be surprising to a lot of people. But you can sit there and say, well, I don't know who's in the Senate Appropriations Senate Appropriations Guild. So you can go to elected officials or the Senate committee, and you can just hit Senate committee, and it says right there, appropriations. You hit the button, and you find out that W. Briggs Thompson III is the chairperson. Juan Barnett is the vice chair. Andy Berry's part of it. Kevin Blackwell's part of it. Albert Butler. And you can go through all the different state reps that are in that committee. And this is so huge. I wish I would have known this like a week ago. I would have trained everybody up so that we could have been much more efficient. But you can sit there and click, and I'll just click on one. Uh, J. Walter Michael. You click on him. He's from he got a PO box in Jackson, Mississippi. He's in Hinds County. He's an insurance guy. He's District 25, and he's got his contact information. He's in wow, I picked a good one. He's in Madison, Ridgeland. His district is conveniently carved out around Jackson. I actually gonna have to go meet this dude. But you can go ahead and give him a buzz. It's got his contact information right there, and you can say, "Hey, support the Glacier Act." And these are the kinds of things I think that make WYAB so special. It's not just enough to sit there and get all your latest and greatest political news. I'm not about that. It's about civically educating all of us. But with the Glacier Act, that is something that we can definitely talk about. It's right here. I'm getting this from Breitbart News. Tennessee releases staggering stats on migrant crime. Listen to this. 2,183 violent offenses, 41 homicides, 1,592 assaults, 145 sexual offenses, 11 child rapes, 40 aggravated kidnappings, 2,920 DUIs, 5,318 cases of driving without a license or suspended or revoked license, 966 carjackings, 36 felony firearm offenses, and 66 assaults on police or first responders. Migrant crime is a real deal. And unfortunately, in red states, we don't necessarily put a focus on that. And I don't know if we have something in Mississippi where we track migrant crime, but the Republicans in Tennessee did that. And now everybody is up in arms because we're shining the light of the sunshine light of disinfectant on it, and it's a real big deal. And it's not that we don't want people to migrate to America, we do, but we wanted to do it legally. Legally. I'm already getting texts, "What about the Epstein file?" We're gonna talk about Jeffrey Epstein, we're gonna get on to that. But today is a day of action, and today is a day for all of us to take 5 minutes out of our day and to do a civic duty. Voting's important. Oh, we're gonna talk about that too. I got the story last night, Hinds County ballots not printed out for Republicans or Democrats. The election committee decided to just wash their hands of it, and once again, the county board of supervisors has to come and bail out the election uh, committee commissioners. And I think I have a good relationship with my election commissioner. I wanna ask her why it is the way it is. But on Friday, we will have Hinds County Republican Chairman Spencer Ritchie on the program to talk about this. I do plan to reach out to the Democrat side too today after the show because I wanna get both sides of it. I'm not gonna make this political about other issues. I was just gonna say, what have the Democrats done to help out with their ballots? What kind of position does that put them in? I'm supposed to go vote absentee today. I will be working the polls on the 12th or the 10th of March. I think that's when the primary is. Whatever day it is, the 10th or the 12th of March, whatever it is, I'll be working the polls that day. So we'll have a guest host in the studio. Be a good deal. But today's that day of action. And there are so many great bills out there. One of the bills that's out there is the Conservative Coalition. And we had Senator Don on yesterday talking about his closing off primaries. that's up for a vote today in the Senate. These are bills that have real chances of going places. They're they're in single committees, and they just need a simple up and down vote to get to the floor. Now, it doesn't mean that if it gets to the floor, it's gonna pass, but you're learning the system. And when we look at it, this brother Richard, and let me know if you actually got the text with the picture of the app. It's on my X account. You can see it there. But you can go look up all the different sorts of bills that are out there. And here's the thing, Clay, Matt, the station manager, and I, we were all talking about it. There is so much going on out there. Sometimes you just want to spend a couple segments on the radio talking wrestling. Who today could actually keep up in the attitude era? And what was meant to be one segment ended up being over half the show this morning that I spent with Clay. We liked it so much, we're gonna do it again tomorrow to catch up on these national events. But I understand that we need a break from it, but that break needs to come after we get this work done. And we will. We'll make it happen. It's gonna be good. And when we get back, I'm gonna talk to you about something I've been working on under the radar, behind the scenes. And it wasn't that I didn't wanna go out there and blast it out to the world, but sometimes when you're not sure exactly what you're doing, it's better to make those mistakes, uh, on a smaller platform so that when you get to the big stage, you've already been there, done that, got the T-shirt, and you're gonna be alright. You are listening to The Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We're gonna take our first commercial break. We'll be right back. No, they will not stop us. We will continue. We will continue the march, even though it's cold, even though it's raining and sleeting outside. I often think about our servicemen and women who don't get to take days off, much like our farmers or our truck drivers. A little bit of inclement weather never stopped nobody. We're out there doing the job, whether it's raining, whether it's sunny, whether it's snowing, whether it's just a beautiful day. And we're on this kick using this app, and this is the deal that makes me really excited about this. Again, it's the ECM legislative app for Mississippi. You can go to andrewgosser.com and get a picture of the app. You can download it. But how many of us remember Texas and the Sharia law that's being imposed there? You know, we have to take steps here in Mississippi to protect ourselves. And I've worked with 2 state representatives, Representative Fred Shanks and State Representative Clay Manzo. And wouldn't you know it, they both have bills in the House Judiciary A committee, and we're going after it. Let's take this phone call real quick. Let's see what happens.
A committee.
Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
After it.
I guess they didn't want to be part of the show. That's a shame. But we've got not 2 anti-Sharia laws, but 5, and there's some good people in there. And I want to go ahead and read these off because they're trying again. Here we go. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Sorry, my brother. We got a little technology issue there.
It's all right, my friend. It's all right, my friend. How you doing?
I'm great. I got your app. Reached out to my elected representative. That's a pretty cool little streamlined deal like that. That's a good thing to have.
Isn't it incredible, the technology, that if we use it for good stuff, we can actually get stuff done?
Oh yeah. So easy to do. So everybody that's listening out there, that's as easy as it gets right there, my brother.
Which one did you call for, the Glacier Act?
The 2 from Rankin County.
But what bill, just out of curiosity, were you calling about?
The Glacier.
Yep.
So I made sure I was very specific about that.
Yep. That's awesome. Because it's got their phone numbers right there, their emails right there. You can see their geographical. Right. Was it hard to install?
Heck no. Well, it needed my iCloud password. Once I did that, I was in.
Well, we definitely want to make sure, that people aren't downloading mysterious apps onto our phones. So I can appreciate that. But it wasn't like technically difficult or any. It didn't ask you like for your own email address or any information like that. It's all basically a point and click type of deal.
Oh yeah, it was easy. If this old man can do it, anybody can do it.
Yeah, I hear that. And I'm telling you what.
Go ahead.
I
wanted to address something. I believe it was representative from Jones County that you had yesterday.
State Senator Don Hartness.
Okay. One issue, and I know you were just taking text message questions, that I wanted to highlight when you brought up the text from the individual in Madison County, mm-hmm. concerned about behavior of individuals who have transferred in to that county.
I remember.
And I've never heard anybody run in circles as quickly as he did. He began talking about legal issues and some type of criminal record. You're dodging. Let me explain to you. Let me give you a little inside baseball, okay?
Preach.
If you have a student who misbehaves in class, you contact the parent, and then you contact administration. They are put in what is called ISS, in-school suspension. What that does is it keeps the student in the building. Attendance. Oh, we can't have an absentee. We've got to have a head count. So they're in the building. And what that does is it allows the parent not to be inconvenienced. Okay, when that student should have probably been sent home, but we can't inconvenience parents. So we keep them in the building for 3 days, 3 different occasions. Then they may get a suspension. What happens is you have a cumulative effect of suspensions or expulsions, and then your school is then qualified as unsafe. Oh, we can't have that. It goes back to the situation where these cities were not classifying murder as murder. They're manipulating the numbers because we can't have a school designated as unsafe. So they're working the numbers, my brother. They are manipulating. And you talking about people want to run and hide when it comes to discipline issues in the building. All of them are doing it because we can't be classified because now that goes out there to the public. Oh, I can't send my child to that school. They're designated unsafe. So you're talking about, as they used to say in the movie Dodgeball, dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
Well, what I did, I actually read portions of that bill. It's 530 some odd pages. I don't expect everybody to be able to read it all, but Grok is a beautiful thing. You can cut and paste that bill into Grok and say, what does it talk about discipline? And it'll bring up the sections. And what people don't realize about that school choice bill is that the school board that is going to accept the student has the ultimate authority to reject any person, any prospective student for any reason other than special needs. And, you heard me talk about that. If a school has a special
Right.
needs program in Madison, there's several really good ones, but they only have room for 15 special needs kids. They've got to keep
Right.
one or two open for people who move into the district. And this is, I think, the biggest problem that I have personally with the bill is that it is forcing schools that are smaller in nature, that give a more customized, tailored learning environment. And you pay for those schools, right? Because you're living in that area, you're paying the property tax. You might have bigger lots in the neighborhood. It's just a different type of school. Well, all of a sudden you transpose that onto Rankin County, Northwest Rankin, and they have 5 openings. They've got to fill them, and now all of a sudden 2 more come on. Well, now we've got to hire a whole brand new teacher. We had a whole brand new certification, and it's kind of a slippery slope. I would much rather have it be public to private and put the burden back on the parent and on the student and not so much on the public school system. Because what we
100,
let me get your opinion on this.
100%.
Let me get your opinion on this.
100%.
Yeah, man, because my opinion is if you go to any major school district around the United States of America, Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, Jackson, Memphis, Nashville, Atlanta, you just pick it. They have problems in there. They're not teaching. They're just daycares, and they're not developing.
Right.
They're not developing the kids intellectually. I mean, I even see it with my own daughter. She's 17 and incredibly smart and intelligent, but I'll tell you what, that scrolling kicks in, and the next thing you know, I'm like, "Toots, you've been sitting there for 45 minutes." And she's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she'll come back to me later and say, "Dad, I didn't realize that." I'm like, "That's the danger of that infinite scroll thing there." And it's just like our public schools. I'll give you the last word, my friend.
Well, it's exactly as you say. If you have a kid who is dyslexic and you do not have a program to help that child, they should be able to transfer with their tax dollars to an academy or a parochial school that can help them. I got that. The problem that I see coming is when that 6'5", 240 ninth grader that runs a 4.7 40, oh, we have room for him. Come on.
Yep.
That's going to be the catch-22 right there, my brother. But just enjoy your show. God bless you, and rock and roll.
Brother, I will. Thank you for the phone call. I appreciate it. That's Brother Richard calling in saying that the app works. And he did it. And you can too. And this is the whole goal as we march on to 2027 and 2028. Lord willing, I'm still here. You know, I want it to be to where we're all meeting up at our county conventions, where we're all meeting up at the state convention, where we're all getting more involved with who our school board members are, who our election commissioners are. And I realize that it's really easy, just like my daughter scrolling, sitting there doing whatever she's scrolling. It's a lot easier for us older folks, us Gen Xers, us older millennials, us boomers to doom scroll ourselves into just misery and anxiety. There's a reason I call it an anxiety device, but there's a lot of good stuff going on, and today is one of those days, it's almost like I'm glad I'm on the radio because I can talk about it, but at the same time, I'm like, "Man, this needs to be like a partial state holiday where everybody can spend 15, 20, 30 minutes going through the bills that are important to them," because look, let's be realistic here. What is interesting and fascinating to Andrew Gosser might not be interesting and fascinating to you. But we still have a lot of the same core values, we still have a lot of the same beliefs, and here's the best part about this, I wanna reach out to all the independents, the left-leaning, and the Democrats out there with common sense, and yes, Republicans, there are a lot of Democrats out there with common sense. I've got a story that is absolutely gonna blow everybody away, and I'm gonna save it for the top of the next hour. But you think that Black America is buying off on this illegal immigration? Not so fast, my friends. Not so fast. I genuinely think Black America gets it better than white America. They understand about what's to happen. Leaders in those communities are finding out real quick. Just go look at Chicago and how the Black community it's not gonna be a flip completely to red in Chicago, but you are not gonna see these 93-7 elections anymore out of Chicago. You're just not. You're gonna see more independents start running. You're gonna see more Republicans start running, and we've got to build the party on our nation and the traditions that made it great, where our core values come from. We've got to, and when we get back, we're gonna talk about some bills that absolutely, need to get passed out of the House Judiciary A Committee today. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show. Now, before I start talking about all these Sharia law bills that are up for vote today in the House Judiciary A Committee, we got to talk about some things that are going on. Tomorrow is Grip and Grin at Mama Hamill's, 11:30 to 1. Bruce Bartlett doing a great job out there. I always like to get people to go out to these different events. I think this Saturday is the breakfast at the lodge out there in Rankin County. And this Thursday night, Conservative Coalition meets. These are all different places for you to go out and meet. And if there's someone else who got a group that's going on and you want to have it um, talked about, as long as it's a reputable group, and by reputable I mean something that's not shady. I don't want to be supporting the drag shows that are going down there in Jackson. My man Gabe and Coleman Boyd are definitely all over that. But I want to improve the civic discourse here in the greater Jackson metropolitan area and in Mississippi. The things that we're talking about here, you can talk to your friends up north, your friends down south. You can definitely talk about those things. But I really want to step into the Sharia law because I've seen Sharia firsthand in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and elsewhere, where women are looked at as second class citizens, where the only human right is the right that's might, where dirty old men can lay with children and it be a sign of from God. That isn't Christianity that's doing that. So there's a bunch of different bills that are coming through, and I'm just gonna read them off one at a time. I'm gonna start with my brother Clay Manzel, and before, I talk to Fred, and I'm gonna get to Fred's, I talked to Clay first, and he is a state rep out of Clinton, Mississippi, Hinds County guy. We do have some great conservatives right here in the great county of Hinds trying to do stuff. And if you go ahead and use the app that I told you, it just says this: an act to create a new section, Mississippi Code, to prohibit the application of Sharia law in divorce and child custody cases. And then it goes on and on and on about that. Yeah, we want to make sure that that happens. We don't want to have Sharia law used in our child custody cases. A Muslim impregnates a woman, they get married, whatever, and all of a sudden he goes to the Sharia court, which popped up in Texas. It can pop up here too. Next thing you know, he's on a plane out to somewhere in the Middle East with that kid, and mama never sees him again. That is a good law to have. We should have that. It just makes sense here in Mississippi. Although I kind of wonder if there are some judges here in Mississippi that would do something different about that. And again, that's House Bill 1417 in the Mississippi State House. Then you've got my man Fred Shanks, State Representative Fred Shanks out of Rankin County, HB 966. An act to create the Mississippi Supremacy Clause Enforcement Act to prohibit the application of Sharia law in all Mississippi courts, to provide legislative findings and legislative intent. And it goes on and on again. This is, again, in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee. And I want to read the other ones, but I want to say something that's really special about this. And I didn't put the co-sponsors. You can go down here and see who the co-sponsors are. And honestly, this is where I failed you, uh, Representative Shanks and Representative Manzo. I didn't know that this app existed, and I didn't know when your bills were dropped. If I would have known these bills dropped, I would have used all of my platforms and all of my energy to inform all of you that, hey, we need people to go ahead and co-sponsor this. But there's another one, HB 1479. And again, I'm just clicking off the app. If you're watching me on the stream, you see I'm just reading it right off my anxiety device. An act to prohibit the application of Sharia law in Mississippi courts to provide legislative findings and legislative intent. So it's almost a rehash of that other one. And so, and all these bills are going to be brought up in committee today. and all the committees are meeting, but as you know, state reps are on multiple committees, which is why it's important for us in the future to make sure that we're doing this as soon as the bill drops. And I plan to reach out to each one of these state representatives, whether they sponsored it, co-sponsored it, or whatever, and work with all. We all know people, right? All know people. Mississippi, you're no more than 2 degrees of separation from knowing somebody. I'm from Chicago. My wife's from New York, and we're in Columbus, and all of a sudden, somebody the sweepie hasn't seen in 30 years reaches out to her, and I'm like, "What the heck is going on here?" I'm in Meridian, and I haven't seen a Navy buddy in 30 years, and all of a sudden, he's like, "Gasser?" And I'm like, "Holy smokes." So we all know people that we can get involved in this. And for anybody who's ever seen the true effects, the deleterious effects of Sharia law, we know we don't want it here. It doesn't say that we're hating on anybody. We're just saying, if you wanna go follow that kind of stuff, well, we know a bunch of different countries that you can go to. Let's see, I got that one. This one is Jill Ford, House Bill 604, Jill Ford of Madison County. An act to create the Mississippi Supremacy Clause and Enforcement Act to prohibit the application of Sharia law in Mississippi courts. You know, I'm gonna try to reach out to Clay today to see if we can kinda smash some of these together. Representative Clay Mansell and Representative Fred Shanks too. I know Representative Shanks is actually chairing a committee today, so it's gonna be hard to get in touch with him, but you can still call him. You can still leave messages. And again, we're just trying to get people, uh, more involved here in Mississippi because if we don't, we're gonna lose a lot of stuff. This one is interesting. HB well, that's a repeat of, Clay Mansell. So, basically, HB 11, which is a pretty low. I mean, normally those lower number bills are used for senior ranking people. And, this is a really quick one. An act to create a new section in the Mississippi Code to prevent the application of Sharia law in divorce and child custody cases to the appropriated sections, prohibition against Sharia law in court orders, and, this is by William Tracy Arnold, District 3. He's out of Boonesville, Mississippi. So there are 5 different Sharia law bills right there. You know, our state reps do pay attention, and I'm sure some of y'all have reached out to your state reps to do that. And I'm just excited because I see where this is going. I see the learning that's taking place. I'm getting a text coming in. What about HB 2316? Well, let me look that up right here. Chat coming in. HB 2316. Real live HB. Here we go. It's pulling it up. It's thinking about it. Well, if you type in HB, it doesn't like that. So I'm just going to put in 2316 and try that. I don't see any HB 2316. It's a Senate bill, actually. You're looking at Senate bill ground checked out. So let's see what it says here. An act to amend the Mississippi Code to provide that it shall be unlawful for any person, persons, or corporations or manufacturing establishment to make, manufacture, sell, or possess any instrument or device which, if used on firearms of any kind, will arrest or muffle the report. Uh, its deadline is today, and it is referred to Judiciary B in the Senate. And this was authored by a Republican, Chris Johnson, out of District 44, Hattiesburg. It looks like it passed out of the to-do stuff. It's really weird. The Senate has some weird committees, and if you look on the app, and I encourage everybody to do so, it looks like it's in Judiciary B. It might have passed out because it says, uh, it was put into Judiciary B on the 19th, and on 2/3, it's titled t Stuff to Do Pass. So, you might wanna get out there and do that. And now everybody's starting to chime in. This is pretty crazy. Everybody's chiming in and saying, "I see it." There's so much stuff out there that they're trying to get through. Just like Clay and I were talking about, there's so much, and this is just in the state of Mississippi. Imagine what's going on in the US House of Representatives, in the US Senate. Think about how hard it is to get in touch with either Roger Wicker or Cindy Hyde Smith. It's a lot easier to get in touch with, Chris A Chris Johnson out of Hattiesburg, House District 44, and say, "Hey, what's going on with our 2A?" And Mississippi's good about getting stuff to the US Supreme Court. I don't wanna actually get this up there. You never wanna give a Supreme Court justice a decision to make, especially when you got Ketanji Brown Jackson up there. She'll make a decision on this, but she won't make a decision on what a man or a woman is. People are asking what the app is again. All of a sudden, people are out there starting to use the app, and they're like, "Man, this is actually pretty cool." It's ECM Legislature, and if you go to andrewgosser.com, or not andrewgosser.com, although I should get my blog up again, just another thing to do. But if you go to Andrew Gosser on X, I've posted the picture of that. You just go download that app, and I'm serious, it is so intuitive. You are literally 3 clicks away from finding out stuff you need to find, and it's an awesome app. I highly recommend it. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back.
Take a look here. Favorite photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of Black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country. A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race. The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj that, in fact, you should have a photo ID to be able to vote. So something of a non. Take a look here. Favorite photo ID to vote.
Now you all know what's coming up at the top of the hour if you're listening in on one of the streams. Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show. No doom loop here. We're talking about stuff we can do. We're taking action, making stuff happen. And we there's so much good news out there too. You just have to look for it. And a lot of times, a lot of this good news is going to involve man's best friend, dogs, doggos, as we call them on our farm. We've got 4 doggos. We had as many as 7, but we've got doggo Delilah, doggo Phoebe, doggo Ezekiel, doggo Ghostface Killer. They garden the sheep really good. And we just get so much joy out of our animals, don't we? Whether they're working dogs like mine, or you might have a house dog, a lap dog. We also have BB Queen. She's a Shih Tzu that is disabled, literally. She takes so much work, but we love her. She's part of the family. We take care of her. And we also talk about our canine officers. We got canine officer Voodoo out there on I-20 doing work with his handler. We're grateful and thankful for them. And guess what? Here's another example of a doggo just doing a great deed. In Gastonia, North Carolina, a 13-year-old boy with special needs was found alive and safe Saturday night after wandering from home during a snowstorm without proper clothing. The child left home on foot. Parents couldn't find him. They called out the canine. Gastonia Police Patrol units called in Canine Officer Bo and his handler, Sergeant Rowland, to assist multiple agencies. And the pictures are awesome, man. Bo is got snow all over him. You can tell he is enjoying his job. It's just a beautiful thing to see. And it goes on to say that Bo was given the scent article and began immediately tracking through the snow in the dark. This just goes to show you, if you're a criminal and they call out the canine on you, you're in trouble. Whether it's raining, whether it's snowing, whether it's dark, whether it's light, canine officer is going to get out there and find you. Bo was given the scent article and began tracking through the snow. The teen was found cold but unharmed by the police department. Canine Bo's performance in severe weather conditions was lauded. Dogs. Sometimes coming home to a dog is a pretty special thing. There is good news out there. No need to be doom scrolling all the time. Go search for the good stuff. It's out there, ladies and gentlemen. In the next hour, we are going to definitely talk about something that the mainstream media doesn't want you to know about. And it's good news for voter ID and the SAFE Act. Good news, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYB. We'll be right back.
So voter ID, just so people understand, is the idea that someone shows a photo ID when they go to vote, when
Correct.
they go to cast their actual ballot, because there's a separate discussion right now about needing a passport or a birth certificate to register to vote, but the polling is all on voter ID showing an
Correct.
ID to vote.
Showing a photo ID to vote. And the American people are with Nicki Minaj, because what are we talking about here? So take a look here. Favorite voter ID to vote. Look, I got all this polling on the screen going back since 2018. You'll notice on all of it, it's all north of 75%, 76%, 76%, 76%, 81%, and then 83%.
Fire them up. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We are moving and grooving on this 3rd of February. It's a Tuesday, and we are streaming on Rumble. We are streaming on X. We are streaming on YouTube, and we are streaming at WYAB.com. So if you can't pick up the 50,000 watt blowtorch that is WYAB, hey, check us out on the stream. Like the stream, like the channel, share it with some friends. Let them know where you're listening to WYAB. We appreciate that. You can also follow me on X. Definitely putting out some good content there. I don't like putting out these long diatribes, just quick hits, things that you can do to make your life easier, get more involved civically, get more involved spiritually. That's really important. It's just at Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. And look, if you want to be part of the show today, that's great. Richard, went in, downloaded the app, called in, talked about how easy it was. I pray all you all do the same thing. Number, if you want to be part of the show today, is 601-879-0002. Text line is open, 601-879-5060. And the mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? Y'all are the saints. I planted it, Apollos watered it, but it was God that gave the increase. And I stand by that. I don't run away from my faith. We embrace it here at the Andrew Gosser Show. I've got a lot of great gifts and a lot of great things to share, but I'm not so stubborn and strong-headed not to realize where that all comes from. Well, I'm telling you what, this is some more good news And you know what the good news is? Is that the Grammys absolutely tanked. The ratings are out, absolutely horrible, in the gutter, just like a lot of those superstars and movie stars' brains are. They're in the gutter. The most popular thing from the Grammys was Brother Jelly Roll with his speech. Maybe I'll pull that up later and play that. But I think this is a bigger issue than just what Hollywood is putting out there. Not even the mainstream media it can absolutely tamp out what's happening here. What you are seeing are a lot of people from all different nationalities, all different races, all different political backgrounds coming together on a key point, which is really going to hurt not the political left, not the political right. It's going to really affect the psychos way out there on the political left. What am I talking about? Something that's very common here in Mississippi. We all got to show our ID to vote. But do you realize that the 14 states that Kamala Harris won, there was no voter ID? No, none in California, New York, Illinois. Take your pick. No voter ID laws there. And that's where the rampant fraud is. And Georgia, but that's because they got a governor there who's not pulling his weight. But I digress. So you would think that voter ID would be a very, very controversial issue. And I know I've complained about CNN and how they're only posting liberal polls and I like using both sides. Well, something snuck through the radar over at CNN and Harry Enton went off, and we are going to talk about this because this is a poll that is absolutely validating what we in the Republican Party have talked about, what conservatives have talked about, what common sense American people have talked about, whether they're political or apolitical, they just go and enjoy to vote. And the truth of the matter is I like showing my ID when I go vote. I gotta show an ID to get on an airplane. I gotta show an ID to get money out of the bank. I gotta show an ID to do a lot of stuff. Voting should not be the one thing that's not. And we've got some video. I'm not sure I'm gonna play it because it's pretty negative. But people who say that there are certain classes of people who aren't smart enough to use a computer to go get an ID, quit playing. Quit playing. There's not anybody in the state of Mississippi who doesn't have an ID. If they wanna go get one, we can get them one. The birth certificate. We might have to go track down the birth certificate, but it's not difficult. If you can use a cell phone, you can get an ID. But without further ado, this is Harry Enton, ladies and gentlemen. Harry Enton of CNN, who's rapidly losing viewership unless Scott Jennings or Harry Enton is on the television.
So voter ID, just so people understand, is the idea that someone shows a photo ID when they go to vote, when they go to cast their actual ballot, because there's a separate discussion right now about needing a passport or a birth certificate to register to vote, but the polling is all on voter ID showing an ID to vote.
Like, that's so controversial. I remember when I had to go get my driver's license back in the day, way back in the day. I had to go in with the bank statement and my birth certificate. It was tough. We had to make that happen, but it's not a big deal in 2026.
Showing a photo ID to vote, and the American people are with Nicki Minaj, because what are we talking about here? So take a look here. Favor voter ID to vote. Look, I got all this polling on the screen going back since 2018. You'll notice on all of it, it's all north of 75%, 76%, 76%, 76%, 81%, and then 83% in.
Ladies and gentlemen, when any issue is above 60%, that is a slam dunk home run for the politicians. Everybody wants it. The white people want it. The black people want it. The red people want it. The Asian people want it. It doesn't matter what color, nationality are you want it. Women want it. Men want it. The only people who don't want it. This is actually a great poll, in my opinion. This is actually pretty incredible. This is actually showing you the percentage of the people who are normal or to the right, even center left, center right, and on the right. We're at somewhere between 81 and 83% of the voting population out there. The only people who don't want this voter ID are the 17 to 19% wackadoodles who don't know what a woman is, who wear diapers at over the age of 30 and sit there and protest ICE in furry costumes. That's what we're talking about here. And are we going to let this vocal minority bully us? Not so fast, my friends. There's more.
In the last year of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj, they favor photo ID to be able to vote.
What about by party? What's the party breakdown?
Yeah, normally you might expect,
Oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good.
hey, there'd be a big divide by party with Republicans really for it and Democrats really against it. But not really here. I mean, just take a look here. Favor photo ID to vote. You got 95% of Republicans, pretty much all of them, but even 71% of Democrats favor photo ID to vote. So again, Nikki.
Mike Johnson, are you listening, Mr. Speaker of the U.S. House? President Thune of the Senate, U.S. Senate, are you looking at this? This needs to be a standalone bill, up and down. Don't send this crap to committee. Just put it out there and vote on it and let the American people see. I've got a lot of doom and gloom on my phone right now about how the Republicans are screwing stuff up. We're not screwing stuff up. There's a lot of good that we have done, and we're going to continue to talk about it. And when we've got to be critical, we'll be critical too. But this is a slam dunk issue. Of course, those of us who are leading the way in the cultural revolution, on the cutting edge of societal evolution, like we are here in Mississippi, we've got voter ID law. Everywhere from Tunica County all the way down to Hinds County, down to Jackson County, everybody here in Mississippi likes voter ID. 95% of Republicans, 71% of Democrats. That's a slam dunk issue, and why Republicans nationally aren't capitalizing on this, I don't know. I don't know why CNN did the homework for the Republicans, but they did.
Nicki Minaj posting that on.
I know why, because Nicki Minaj is pushing this. Nicki Minaj. That's why this is getting cultural relevance.
X, and what you see is that the American people, actually, it's not really all that controversial. The American people are with Nicki Minaj, whether they are Republican or even if they are Democrats. We're talking about 7 in 10 Democrats agreeing with Nicki Minaj that you, in fact, should show a photo ID to vote.
What's the racial breakdown?
Okay, what's the racial breakdown on this, right? Because
immediately got to go to race. The race hustlers out there. Not the right and wrong hustlers, the good versus bad, good versus evil, righteous versus wanton. No. We got to get the race profile. All right, let's do it.
I think a lot of people make the argument that people of color, non-white Americans, have a harder time procuring a photo ID to vote. But even here, take a look here. Favor photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latinos.
I thought that the Latinos didn't like voter ID because they were worried that they were going to get profiled and sent back to Mexico or wherever. This is the biggest lie being shoved down our throats by the mainstream media, whether it be the national, state, or local, right here in Jackson. They're not even doing it. And they'll go out and they'll run their stories tonight, finding the 3 people who are against voter ID, and they'll make that the story. But it's not. And we get fired up over here at WYAB because we can see through the BS. We can see what's happening. And we know better. 82% of Latinos. That's only 3% behind the white population. Well, but what do the brothers and sisters think?
76% of Black Americans favor it. So
76% of Black America favors voter ID. You know where this is really panning out? In places like Chicago and New York. The Black population is going, what the heck is going on here? Their culture's getting swarmed out, getting changed over. And look, culture needs to evolve and develop, but some things never need to change. And the Black community's culture with Jesus is long known. Strong belief in the Lord. And just recently, in the last 20 years, they've tried to erase Jesus. But Jesus is coming back.
the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country. A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race. The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj that, in fact, you should have a photo ID to be able to vote.
So something.
If I am Speaker Johnson or Leader Thune in the U.S. Senate, uh, I am dropping this bill. This is a way for us to turn this thing around and start getting us back in the right direction. You know, there's so many Republicans out there saying that the Republicans are pulling victory out of the jaws of defeat, and we are. But there are a bunch of doom scrollers who say we're pulling defeat out of the jaws of victory. And this is and I loved these types of bills. In fact, when I was a county supervisor, I would look for ordinances to kind of put up there that I knew were slam dunks that nobody would vote against, that would actually push the bubble, not as much as I would like to push the bubble, but it would push the bubble to the right, whether it be on eminent domain or private land rights. You know, you have to do that. And when you get a softball, this isn't even a softball, this is like T-ball lined up. This is Babe Ruth going up to a T-ball and just smacking the snot out of that ball. By the way, if you're a baseball fan and you own a business and you wanna advertise here where Atlanta Braves baseball, go ahead and give me a quick hit up at andrew@wyib.com. We'd love to have you sponsor the Atlanta Braves. Baseball analogy there, had to throw it in. But, yeah, the doomsayers, the doom and gloomers, you know I am very negative on the Epstein stuff, and I'll continue to point that out, but there's too much other good stuff going on to sit there and just hang my coat on that one issue. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. I will be right back. We are back at the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. Chat's letting up. I'm really heartened when I get messages like this. Um, this is coming from Ground Checked Outdoors, and it basically says he used the app, he downloaded the app, just received a follow-up email from Chris Johnson, Republican. He sent me an email back right away. He cleared up any confusion I had on SB 2316. Dude, that's awesome. And then he comes back to say, that app is awesome. Thanks for bringing that to light. And dude, that is the victory. That is the victory when we have law-abiding citizens who are actively wanting to connect civically with their legislators, and this app just connected that dude. I hope he goes and tells 50 of his friends. And maybe this leads him to being a precinct delegate in 2028. I don't know. But this is exactly how it has to work. This is how it has to work. And we still need to follow up and make sure we hold the legislator accountable to that. And basically what this is setting up is if the federal court outlaws, this is what he's saying, the app is awesome. He said that they're getting ready to make suppressors legal in Mississippi if the feds decide to rip off stamps altogether. But that's great. Mississippi, we need to protect our Second Amendment. Quite frankly, that's why we don't have half the problems that Minnesota has. It's because we love our Second Amendment. And then Brother Junk in the WYAB Southern Command is piping in. He's saying, if the Congress tries to pass a voter ID law, a quote-unquote judge in Iowa will say, you can't do that. Well, let that judge in Iowa do it, and, we can appeal it and go to the Supreme Court and see what they have to say about it. I mean, might not be able to. I mean, the Constitution, the amendment says that elections are upon the states, but there's also this thing called the 14th Amendment that one state's laws can't harm another state. And I think we can all say that, especially the small states like Mississippi, Wyoming, Montana, we are absolutely screwed over by states like California, Illinois, and New York who have no voter ID law. Then Brother Junk jumps back in and says, who's running the country, Trump or the judges? Well, Trump is the executive, and he's supposed to be setting the agenda, and I feel that he is. But there are a lot of these DEI judges that have been installed by Biden. And look, people were mad at me yesterday because I didn't talk about the Fulton County scandal that's going on, 320,000 illegal votes that were counted as legal back in 2020. And now all of a sudden everything's popping off. I mean, can Trump just go in there and fire all those judges that Biden appointed? He stole the election. He wasn't duly elected. Man, that's just a mess. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. The remedy is just absolutely so big and insane. I've got this story. I want to talk about another good story. And I have it right here. And this is coming from Facebook. Make sure I turn this down so Facebook always tries to go ahead. And this is coming from Iuka Sports Academy and Mario Paul Barnes. And I don't know where Iuka, Mississippi is. I might be saying that wrong. I know it's somewhere up north in the swath of the ice. And I just want to spend a good portion of the radio show talking about how awesome people in Mississippi are, because for all the good that the government did in clearing up so much of the ice and snow, I know that there are a few people out there who are just upset if it doesn't go perfectly, but there was a lot of good that was done. And in a natural disaster like what that ice storm was, it was a natural disaster. You're not going to be able to bounce back to life in a day or a week or even a month. We're going to be picking up that all well into the summer. I mean, we're going to have citizens going out there just taking care of other citizens, cleaning up all the dead wood, burning it all, or chipping it all up and turning it into mulch, doing something. But I saw this story and I'm like, man, this guy needs to be shouted out. Iuka Sports Academy and Mario Paul Barnes. Let me get here. We go. I'll be honest. I never fully understood just how much Iuka Sports Academy could mean to this community. I always thought ISA was an activity as an activity in a fitness center. Over the past week, it proved to be something much more than that. When the power went out countywide Saturday night, our teams were ready. As soon as power was restored on Monday midday, the ISA staff opened the facility and kept it running day and night. They provided showers, hot meals, heat, charging stations. Man, think about that. Everybody can muddle through a lot, man, but they need to have their iPhone or Samsung ready to go. Overnight accommodations, and a safe place for kids to play and decompress. To date, we've documented over 700 showers, cooked meals daily, and staffed the building overnight each night to keep things safe and orderly. At the same time, emergency management contingency group crews were out in the field installing and fueling generators, clearing driveways and roadways, and using our equipment to help people regain access and to get back on their feet. None of this happened on its own. This response is strengthened by an incredible amount of community support. I want to personally thank Piggly Wiggly for donating blankets, Brooks Groceries for providing food on multiple occasions, Main Street Cycle for donating food, and BJ's Groceries for other goods and services, and the power company for supplying food to distribute. I'm also grateful to the many individuals who brought candy, food, drinks, toiletries, and to the dozens who donated cash, most of whom asked to remain anonymous. Isn't that what Mississippi is all about? People just doing stuff because it's the right thing to do. That's what when I was growing up as an extra, we just did the right thing because it was the right thing to do. Now, we had our horseplay and everything, but here is a private business, Iuka Sports Academy, and my goodness gracious, they just completely provided goods and services that the government just wasn't prepared to do, and nor should the government be prepared to do that. It takes the community. It takes individuals who invest in their own community. I also want to give a special thanks to the American Legion Post and its auxiliary, who showed up in a big way for the shrimp boil. Man, these people were without power in the middle of an ice storm, and they're having a shrimp boil with the local American Legion. That's awesome. As well as tremendous support from the churches that brought supplies, provided labor, and or sent people ready to work. And that's a big component of this too, is Mississippi and our reliance on the faith. I always thought when I was getting ready, I always would tell the church leaders, get ready to take charge and carry out the plan of the day. I'm going to be out there plowing the snow and doing whatever I got to do for this emergency, but we need our community leaders invested, and that is the church. I'm even thankful for all the private messages, letters, texts, phone calls, encouraging and thanking us for all of this service. I especially want to acknowledge all the folks who came in, saw a need, and started helping without asking where to go or what to do. Yep, let me tell you this, a little bit of initiative will take you a long way in life. And I am so grateful and thankful to my supervisors back in the Navy who put that initiative bug in me early. And if I didn't want that initiative bug, if I didn't want to drink that pill, they were going to shove it up somewhere else to make me get motivated. And that's so huge. I mean, people were just walking and making plates to pass out. Many I didn't even know yet. I've been told many times this week that we were helping the community in big way. What I came to realize this week is just how much the community was helping us. The community gave us far more than it took, and it's got a grateful there. And I'm just sharing this on my Facebook page. Um, we need more Iuka sports academies, and I don't know where the heck that's at. I'm not even sure I'm saying Iuka right, but when we get back, we're gonna talk about some other good stuff that's happening. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show. And I'm big at making sure that we take care of our sponsors, but when it comes to the public discourse, I always try to take care of local churches, different civic organizations, and tomorrow, Grip and Grin, Mama Hamels. This weekend over, I believe it's at the lodge. I always get it wrong, but it's the Rankin County breakfast. It's at 7:30. I'm farming. I'm not going to make it. This Thursday night out in Brandon, there's the Conservative Coalition gathering, and they talk about different issues. And they posted this video, and the quality of it is absolutely incredible. You do have to join the group to see it, but I'm just going to play it. It's 1 minute long, and the audio is very powerful. But I'm telling you, when you put it with the video, it is something else.
We come to this land with our families. We bring our customs, our faith, and Sharia, the holy law of our God. Holy laws about worship, family, commerce. Sharia has reigned for 1,000 years and will reign for 1,000 more. And now we will spread this holy law across your land, and our children will spread Sharia across your land. And one day, our children will call Mississippi their land. It will be their home, and only Sharia will abide there. Sharia now, Sharia forever. In the name of Allah, all will walk the divine path of Sharia.
And that's from noshariayall.com. You can download that video yourself and recommend it. And look, that's just a couple of people getting together, scratching some funds together and putting together that type of video. And it's true. There's no hyperbole in this at all in any way. The no-go zones that are in New York, the no-go zones that are in Minnesota, the no-go zones that are in California, the no-go zones that are in Seattle, the no-go zones that are in Ohio. It's coming, and we saw what happened in Texas. We saw what happened in Texas. We've got a complete disconnect between what this education system has put out as far as young Americans that are between the ages of 25 and 16 and what we were. And I'm sure our parents would say we didn't know what the heck we were doing when we graduated in 1990. And a lot of us went off to war when we were 17, 18, 19 years old. And some people are asking about the video. Just noshariayall.com, but watch the video because it is so powerful. It shows all the beautiful images of Mississippi and how we take for granted all of the great things that we do: crawfish boils, hunting, fishing, farming, agriculture, the jazz culture in Jackson. And it's all under attack. You might not think it is, but it is, which is why, if you were listening to us in the first segment, I was talking about an app, and I'm going to talk about it again. It's the ECM legislative app. If you go to my X account, you can download it. It's got that whole what the icon is. And we've had 2 people call in or text in and talk about how awesome it was. And you can go look up all the anti-Sharia stuff that's in the Mississippi State House. And this video is up there for y'all to share. It's not just enough to be played up on one radio show one time and then gone away. This is something that we need to talk about. And we as conservatives, look, we own businesses. We run our families. We have to pay the bills. We have work. Shout out to the blue collar crew out there working today in the rain. There are so many of us who realize we've got a million other things we can do. But man, we've got to protect Mississippi, and we will. And I'm very grateful and thankful to my friends who worked on that and helped put that out. Definitely something special right there. We've got so much more good going on in this world than bad, and I do consider that good. I do consider that good because if we're not being real about what's around us and what's happening, then it is gonna end up taking over, and it's not gonna be a good deal for us all. The SAVE Act is currently looking like it's gonna pass the US House of Representatives, and then it's going to the Senate. This might be the one that actually kills the filibuster rule, simple majority. People say it's good for the SAVE Act, but guess what? That means the filibuster's gone forever, and the US Senate's gonna be nothing more than a glorified House. I know that's an unpopular opinion in some conservative circles, but it is what it is. There's a really good website out there by the Department of Homeland Security, and this is absolutely getting no play in the public eye whatsoever. It's it's just simply dhs.gov/wow, and arrested, worst of the worst. That's what WOW stands for. And it just because, all we're seeing is the garbage that's on MSNBC, MS Now/BS Always, CNN, all all the sensationalism video. But these are some of the people that they're arrested. Convicted of sexual conduct, fourth degree with a victim between 15 to 18 years old, arrested in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Name, Shalal Osman Sharini. Convicted of aggravated assault, non-family weapon, aggravated assault weapon, threat, terroristic state offenses. St. Paul, Minnesota. Meng Bang, Chinese. Big dude. He didn't miss many General Tso's chicken meals, I'll tell you that right now. Convicted of sexual assault, Moose Lake, Minnesota. Rene Hernandez. Convicted of assault, homicide, gang affiliation, Serenos. I don't know what that is. Lino Lakes, Minnesota. Jamie Terraro Hernandez. Homicide, stolen property, stolen vehicle, assault, homicide, willful kill, non-family weapon. The part of the gang affiliation, the Oriental Boys. Didn't know there was a gang called that, but apparently there is. Minneapolis, Minnesota. Mong Chang. Ladies and gentlemen, there are 1,688 pages with 10 people on each page. And this is what ICE has taken off the street. Convicted of fraud, probation violations, receiving stolen property, vehicle theft, receiving a stolen vehicle, Vice Lord Nation gang affiliation, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Abdulakir Sharif Abduli. Man, there's just so many of them. Our DHS is doing a damn good job of trying to protect us. And the last thing we need is to have some of these blue-haired, nose-ringed, wimp beta males out there trying to go ahead and control us with the woke mind virus, the mass formation psychosis, the Operation Mockingbird garbage. But you have to look for it. You have to fight. It's just like anything in life. You have to fight for what you want. And I'm not talking about going out there and punching and being violent, but you have to fight it in the court of public ideas and logic, much like the universities and college systems claim that they do. But all they do is learn how to scream, screech, and shout down. My youngest son, Noah, he's at a major university right now. And it's a Christian university. But man, I'll tell you what, it sure doesn't act like it. It sure doesn't act like it. People texting in and saying we shouldn't get rid of the filibuster. We also shouldn't federalize state elections. And that's a good conservative right there. Junk calls in, these rogue judges are slow walking anything Trump does. That's their plan. Make him appeal everything to the Supreme Court. Junk, you are exactly right. It's almost like you've been listening to this radio show for a little bit. I think I got that idea from you. That is the last boundary that this woke movement has, is the courts. All they can do is gum stuff up. And to Blue Sim's point, you know, they wanna gunk it up so bad that we do get rid of the filibuster, that we do federalize state elections. I for one, and I know this is gonna be an unpopular take, but I am glad that we haven't instituted the Insurrection Act in Minneapolis or LA. That is exactly what the left wants. The left wants the right to make the next move like that. I do think we can do something, though, with the elections, with the voter ID, Blue Sim, using the 14th Amendment. I also think we should get rid of these voting machines if they have any ties to Venezuela whatsoever. And I realize there's about 20 stories I didn't talk to today, but I really wanted to spend time focusing on some of the good stuff that's happening here in Mississippi, some of the legislative efforts that are happening today in Mississippi, um, talking about positive stuff. The fact that everybody wants voter ID, the only people who don't want it are the left. I mean, will you hear that on TV tonight? Will you hear that on any other radio show? That's what makes us so different. That's what makes us so special. WYAB is the best. You are listening to 103.9 WYAB. We're going to take our last commercial break. We'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9. Blue Sim saying voter ID is essential for all elections and those voting machines should go. There's too much risk involved. Let's just go back to paper and ballot. I mean, we're paying the poll workers $225 a day in Mississippi. They can count votes. And they're like, they need other people to do it. You know what? I am quite certain that the Republican Party of Mississippi and the Democrat Party of Mississippi can find somebody, a representative, where they both designate and call out the ballots and they count it up. There's more than enough to do that. And the sooner we get rid of those machines, the sooner we get rid of all the errors. I did get a text from Miss Lisa. She goes, "Excellent show today. I got the app and I searched for banning Sharia law bills and nothing popped up. Can you give those bill numbers again?" Actually, I got to pull that up. But if you go into the app and you just type in Sharia like I did, let's go back here real quick. Bills, and you type in Sharia, SHRI, and boom, there it is. And it'll go ahead and it'll pull up those ballots. So I hope that works for you, Miss Lisa. It's definitely a app that needs a lot, and people are asking, "What's the app again?" It's just ECM Legislator, and you can look on my X account. And I want to talk about the last little bit here about things that we're doing in the community to help make this place better. You know, when I see stories like that sports gymnasium place up in Iuka, Mississippi, it reminds me that we're living in a great place. We're living in the greatest country on earth. You know, we just had a natural disaster where if this would have happened in Europe, we would have had been sending over C-17s full of goods and services. We had to open up an air convoy. Whenever there's an earthquake anywhere around the world, we're always helping out, especially in Southwest Asia. We're always the ones leading. And, you know, we also send out missionaries too. And I am so proud and thankful for my sweet bee. Eh, I hold on a second here. Someone wants to try to give me a call while I'm on the air. Just but I am so proud of her because the thing about it is that it takes a special person to go out and do that kind of work. You know, everybody wants to evangelize for politicians. We'll go door to door for Trump. We'll go door to door for anti-silencer bill. We'll go door to door for whatever the issue du jour of the day is. But will you go and put yourself in harm's way? She's going somewhere that's a lot more dangerous than Jackson on a Friday night after a whole case of Old E. If you know, you know. Maybe some Mickeys. But those are the people that we need to honor and put on pedestals in our country. People who are actually trying to make the place a better place. Trump's doing it. He's not perfect. Republican Party's doing it. It's not perfect. There are some good Democrats out there trying to make it happen. But if we don't get out there and we don't start propping these people up, people like Fred Shanks, Clay Manziel, people who are taking really, really tough issues and putting a stand to it. And we got to support them. And it's just, I found out this in politics. It's so much easier to build a bridge when you need something to get done than have to burn the thing down and then rebuild it. I've already been down that path, and we can get into that sometime in the future. But until then, Sweet Pea, we're all praying for you. You're going to have a great trip overseas, and we'll see you in about 22 hours, everybody. Be blessed.